Heaven Pegasus 10P.Lw Sen is superbly mediocre. This Beyblade reminds me of the growing pains of Gachi from early Gachi. It was so bad and so unbearable because nothing competitive came out of it. And this is just like that. The low driver is awful, coupled with its low height and also the fact that it has metal for its free spinning plate, just makes it awful. The metal is fine at first, but after you play with it a while, it becomes super duper stiff and it just won't even be free spinning anymore. Coupled with its low height, it'll scrape like crazy and basically be practically unusable. 10 proof is nothing unique at all, with the fact that 10 being a very very light disc when compared to 00 and compared to everything that Gachi has released so far. There is no point in using 10. Proof I do like. I think it's a nice addition. It's very nice because the previous iterations of Proof were very very difficult to get access to. So I guess this is what the player base really wanted, an easier way to get Proof. However, I don't think Proof is gonna be that good in competitive play, especially not in this stock combo because of low, making it scrape really really easily. But even without it, I don't think Proof is that great because not only is it not that heavy, but also because we have better discs out. Heaven Pegasus Sen is honestly the worst thing that has happened to Gachi since its growing pains. Anyway, let's get into it. Heaven Pegasus' Gachi chip is the first thing I tried to blame when trying to find out why this layer base was so bad. Because I felt like if it had a recovery gimmick, it should have very very weak teeth. And by looking at it, it had one big tooth and one really tiny tooth, which is really really a bad sign when asserting if a Gachi chip is good or bad. Like Valkyrie, it has two really really big teeth, but they're so big that it slides, which is why Valkyrie is a bad Gachi chip. And just like that, I thought Heaven Pegasus would also be really really bad. However, when putting it on Slash, right, it is very good. Like, here is the click test, so I'm going to be using the stock combo. You can hear that those clicks are very, very, very strong, and that's what makes it so peculiar. I'm like, if the chip is good, then why is the Beyblade overall so bad? And I just think I discovered it. But before that, let's look at the Sen layer weight. It's the Sen layer weight. It's another release of the Sen layer weight. It's very very balanced, very very light, but it's still very used because it's very very balanced. So here is the Heaven base, where we'll find the root of the problem with this layer, with their Beyblade. Anyway, it has these little tabs like Drive Bahamas. Now, when the Beyblade loses damage, these wings pop out, and when you hit those wings, those little things go back and they push the disc back. So I'm going to be putting the disc on without a Gachi chip so you can see it much more clearly. Anyway, so here's it in fully locked. Now when the Beyblade continues to take any damage, it'll slide, and then the wings will pop out. Just barely, by the way. And then when you press those said wings, it'll push the disc and the driver all the way back. And honestly, that's a good gimmick just by listening to it. However, if you look in the back, you can see that the bars that this Beyblade has are very, very, very tiny, which make these very, very powerful teeth kind of useless. Now here's how the gimmick works on a Gachi chip. Because of the fact that the Pegasus chip has very, very flat teeth, the disc and the driver are basically supposed to slide on those said teeth. And in order to do that, they had to make a very, very powerful Gachi chip, but also had to make it weak. So how did they do that? They made the Heaven base's tabs as thin as possible, essentially robbing it of any resistance from the base. So you know like how the Flare layer base is very, very tight? Yeah, the Heaven base is the exact opposite of that, just to make the Pegasus Gachi chip alright for this gimmick to work. Although they could have done something else with it, I bet they could have. But they decided to just ruin this release. In all honesty, I do not know if this Beyblade is ever gonna be competitive, if this release was competitive, or if this release is competitive. Honestly, I feel like this release shouldn't have even been made. Either this was planned earlier on in Gachi, which is why this release is so bad, because it really does remind me of the early Gachi. But I don't really see this being something to be released now. It's not something you should get at all. This is definitely a release you must skip, otherwise you're gonna be blowing your money like I did.